this is your boy Ryan. I am back with my first build for Sanctum League. I know that it is late and I'm doing an obvious build, so it's gonna be a very short guide. This time I'm playing a Totem build with Ice Spear and Eye of Winter. And this is going to be my second time playing this. Last time I played this was a year ago when I played with a Ice Spear and Freezing Pulse totems. And since now we have more tools for DPS, this build has reached some absolutely ridiculous levels of damage. Also, this build makes Sanctum runs hilariously easy, since you can place your totems and run away to safety, and they will kill all the guards, and as a bonus you can place totems to tank incoming projectile traps in Sanctum as well. All in all, a very powerful build, but be warned, as this build is absolutely glass cannon at the same time and can only tank about 2 to 3 hits with Immortal Call up before dying, if you take more hits, that is. So you have to be a bit cautious while doing bosses and dodging traps and all that stuff. The nature of glass cannon of this build gets offset by a gigantic 25 to 30 million Shaper DPS, and this is the second time I have reached this much DPS in a build, like raw power to in a build. The last time I did this was a mana stacking Pathfinder cast on crit build, but that build is dead. I have included a starter variant of this totem build with no cluster and cheap gear setup, and a late game upgrade tree with full cluster jewels and expensive gear set. We are using Ice Spear for boss damage and Eye of Winter as our main clearing skill. Ice Spear is only needed in late game boss encounters, as most map bosses will roll over in 2 to 3 seconds with Eye of Winter setup. So let's get into the gear really quick and show you how to make it yourself. So here we are into the game with my build for the totems, and let's get into the gear section, gem setups, skill trees, and of course then Ascendancy. So first of all, we have the Annihilating Light. This is the best staff you can use for the build. It is triple damage, it's cheap, and it's the best. Like, a mirror tier staff will be the upgrade after this, but this costs like 10 chaos, and a mirror tier staff is way too much. Like, this is just too good to pass out. Alright, this is just too good to pass out. Okay, our main body armor is going to be a soul mantle. No brainer body armor for a totem build. Make sure you get the exact color with 2 blues, 3 greens and 1 red, so you can swap out Eye of Winter and Hypothermia for GMP and Ice Spear when you are doing boss. Okay, so for our helmet, I am using a Blizzard Crown to get resistances. Now you can use Heat Shiver. It actually gives more DPS, more damage than the Blizzard Crown, but I have problems capping my resistances, so I had to go for this one. For my amulet, I'm using Gloomfang. This is a absolutely budget amulet that gives me like 40% more damage for my spells because of chaining. We chain our Ice Spear through Hydrosphere on our bosses, and then we get like a ridiculous 3 to 4 million damage off of this. I bought this for 5 chaos. This is absolutely cheap amulet. If you want to upgrade and you want raw damage on bosses, you can go for like +2 amulet. It will give more damage, but it's also very expensive. Plus it is the Gloomfang actually gives the skills a +1 chain, which lets us clear maps with Eye of Winter very effectively. So this is going to be a best in slot amulet for now, at least for my setup, that is. For the ring, I have one ring is Anathema. This is so we can apply 4 curses. The second ring is life and resistances and added cold damage against chilled and frozen enemies. The Herald of Thunder level 22 is a dead mod. If you can get a ring with life and resistances and then open suffix. You can craft a +1 minimum frenzy charge, which will be even better than this. So this is if you, and also if you are on a budget, you can just grab resistances and life. For our boots, triple resistances, life, and movement speed. Also for searing exact craft, brittle ground is amazing. And the Eater of World mods, I don't know, some resistance mod would be nice. For gloves, I am using a temple gloves with damage with hits against chilled enemies, and life resistances, nothing else. Suppress spell damage doesn't do anything for us. Unnerve is really good. Having cold exposure to the gloves, Searing Exact mod, not Searing Exact, but Eater of World mod would be nice to have, or increased effect of marks as well. They are nice implicits to have. For my belt, I am again using life and resistances, and of course the increased damage with hits against chilled enemies. It's a Redeemer mod. These belts are quite expensive if you get a Stygian Vice with these mod, but if you're going for a normal belt, they aren't that much expensive. I bought this one for 20 chaos, so it was cheap. That is going to be it for most of the gears. Because we are using Annihilating Light, we have 60% reduced elemental resistances. We have to get a lot of resistance in all of our gear to make up for that. And yeah, that is going to be it for most of the gear. As for our gem setup, our main link is Eye of Winter with Hypothermia, Awakened added cold damage, Divergent multiple totems, or multiple totems if you want to. It's not a big upgrade. Awakened added cold pen and increased critical damage. For the Ice Spear setup, you want to replace Hypothermia with a great multiple projectile and Eye of Winter with Ice Spear. If you get Phantasmal Ice Spear, you actually get more damage potential, because the Ice Spear that gets fired from the totems reach their second form sooner, even before hitting the boss, so it actually does more damage. So Phantasmal Ice Spear is fantastic to have. For our main hand weapon, a 5 link is good enough. If you get a 6 link, you can use the 4th curse. Right now I can only have 3 curses on an enemy, even though because of my 4 power charge and anathema I can apply 4 curses, but currently I'm using only 3. It's gonna be Sniper's Mark, Elemental Weakness, and Frostbite. All of the curses are procced through an Arcanist brand setup, and I also have Hydrosphere in there. I pop this into a boss, so they get Hydrosphered, and then the Ice Spears can chain off with Gloomfang through Hydrosphere and deal extra damage. On our helmet, I have cast and damage taken setup with Immortal Call for tanking giant hits. Frost Shield is a dead skill. I was actually trying to use this, but it's not working. It's not that great. Also Flame Dash for movement skill. On my gloves, I have Frost Bomb, Lightning Golem. This is debuff to stop enemy regions, and Lightning Golem for some extra cast speed. And I have Divergent Eternal Blessing set up, a Eternal Blessing to turn on Hatred as an aura, so I can use some Watcher's Eye mods. And also Hatred is an amazing damage. If you are having trouble capping resistances through your gear, what you can do is you can sacrifice Hatred and instead use Purity of Elements. That will give you elemental ailment immunity plus a lot of resistance to cap out really easily. Also on my boots, I am using Vortex with Bone Chill, Arcane Surge, and Archmage support. Now I am using Archmage because by doing this setup with Archmage, I always have Arcane Surge up with Vortex whenever I cast it. Otherwise, I have to cast Vortex like 5 times before I can get a level 20 Arcane Surge up. So I decided to use Archmage instead to raise the mana cost of my Vortex. For the flask, Lavangia Spirit for mana, because no mana cost, and then a Dying Sun for more projectiles, a Life Flask with Corrupted Blood immunity, a Diamond Flask, and a Quicksilver Flask. That is going to be it for most of the gear. As for our tree, we have a bit of a cluster jewel setup over here and some unique jewels. For the Hierophant tree and this socket, we are using careful planning to get our dexterity. This is giving us a lot of dexterity over here. We have self-flagellation for increased damage with per curse on us. We are using a Watcher's Eye with a hatred mod. We are using a Militant Faith Timeless Jewel to get the Inner Conviction Keystone to get more power, more spell damage per power charge. When you are buying this one, make sure you use the Timeless calculator to check that the circle doesn't turn any of your useful notables into something else that is not useful. The Timeless calculator app can help you with that. This jewel cost me 1 divine, and this is for High Temlet Dominus to get Inner Conviction. For our cluster, I'm using Deep Chill, Disorienting Display, and Blanketed Snow. The best cluster would be Blanketed Snow, Disorienting Display, and Prismatic Heart. For the mediums, I'm using Sleepless Sentries and Ancestral Echo for most damage and onslaught. And then the other cluster is Eye to Eye with Repeater. For the small jewels, I'm using one with crit multi and reduced effect of curses on me, and then a cast speed and crit multi jewel with more cast speed with cold skill jewel. This is purely damage. I actually gave up all of my defenses for the extra damage that I can get. This cluster here, the Asylum, it's very important. This gives us reduced effect of curses. This is 6 plus 6 plus 18. This is 30%, and then the Mastery gives us 20%. So that is a 50% reduced effect of curses through here. 30% is coming from the Pantheon. This one, Soul of Ugul, with 30%. So that's 80% reduction. And then this jewel over here gives another 27%, which together is 107% curse effect reduction. That allows us to use Soul Mantle, that allows us to use Self-Flagellation, and that is going to be most of the build. Here, I did not include a leveling tree yet because everything on the tree is important except for this one while leveling, because this is only useful after you get Soul Mantle. So just level up as you wish. Go to Ancestral Bond as soon as possible to get extra totems. I reckon this is going to take around Act 3 or 4 because you want to get some nodes from here for damage, and then you can go up to Ancestral Bonds for more totems. Okay, that is going to be it for the Ascendancy. The order of Ascendancy we choose is Pursuit of Fate, then Ritual of Awakening, Conviction of Power, and finally Divine Guidance. Nothing too much to explain because it's all self-explanatory. This one is damage, defense, more totems, more damage and defense from here. Also, Mind Over Matter is a good layer of defense, but as you can see, we only have 2.7k HP and 1.8k mana. We are not tanky at all, and this is a level 94 tree. So we are investing everything into damage. Alright, the rest of the things should be self-explanatory and in the POB. One last thing is the anointment. I went with Heartseeker because it's cheap. The best anointment would be here, Mark for Death with Culling Strike. If you can get Culling Strike somewhere else, you can get more crit multi, or even this one, not this one, Mark the Prey for flash charges and more damage against marked enemies. Okay. This is gonna be it for the build, the Totem Ice Spear Popsicle Papa that I did like a year ago. I hope this build serves you well because Sanctum is a lot of money, and yeah, this build like destroys Sanctum. The final boss died in like 2 seconds. Yeah. Okay, so I will be signing off and I will see you in the next build. Stay safe, exiles, and Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays.